Imagine if the Dragonstone Shrine wasn't just some random dragon statue. Imagine if it was based on a very important dragon. Before we get into the minifigures and lore of this dragon, we gotta turn the Dragonstone Shrine into an actual dragon.
It will necessitate a bevy of modifications that will require 600 hours to complete.
653 hours of work, to be precise. I will have the vehicles ready shortly.
Day one was really painful. I disconnected the head from the Dragonstone Shrine because I did want to keep that for the build. However, the rest of it had to get destroyed, and it sucks because I really like this set, but there it is, it's gone. I was able to knock out how the neck is going to connect to the body. I knocked out some framework as well. Okay, so this is day two. I was building a little bit last night, so we made a little bit of progress. And this is how it looks. Yeah, this is what we got so far. It kind of got a body in. Just building it out with the Technic frame, and Dragonstone Shrine is just completely destroyed. I realized that I wanted to shape this kind of like Jay's original Lightning Dragon from the Lightning Dragon battle back in 2011. I wanted to make sure I used most of the parts from the Dragonstone Shrine, and it wasn't easy, but we were definitely getting there. I also used these two glowing blue bone pieces, which I've been wanting to use for a long time for one of my builds on the tail, so we finally got that down. Basically, we got most of the shape down. I really like how this chest segment looks. Day 3, I actually took a pause on building because I realized the minifigures were going to take a while to design, because I didn't want to design them like I usually do, where I just put together random minifigure parts for the video. This time I actually wanted to digitally design them. I don't know anything about digitally designing figures, so I called up my friend Coolito Productions, and thank God he said yes. So basically, day 3, I got to drafting my ideas for these figures. Then I started to make my final drawings and then sent them over to Coolito Productions to marinate for a little bit while I built the rest of the build. Day 4 is going to be my final update for this build. I started adding some finishing touches like stonework. I finished building the claws for the dragon, as well as just finishing up some of the cherry blossom trees and adding some bulk to the body. I also added these huge blue wings from Boreal, which surprisingly work really well here, so I started making some wing joint segments for that as well. Now by this time, Coolito had sent me the designs for the figures. All I had to do was plug them into Mecha Bricks and import the designs, and then take them to Blender to render them for this video. And here we have our 3 characters: Balance, Creation, and Destruction. Creation over here has white eyes, he's got these white beads all over him and green lines, as well as a lot of dragon motifs going on him. Balance has this translucent purple deal going on for him. He has a red belt as well as blue energy flowing through him. And I'll explain what all these characters mean in just a second. And finally, Destruction. This guy kind of looks like an Oni, and he has red veins flowing throughout him. And he's obviously the evil one out of the group. And now without further ado, it's time to show you Essence the Dragon, which is what I'm calling this whole build. So we have this long body with a pronged tail at the back. I really like how the tree is kind of bursting out at some points, including the wing area where you see some roots coming out, as well as the bottom half of the lower 2 legs. You see the tree trunks kind of making up most of its lower abdominal area. The chest is built out of these huge preformed rock pieces, which I'm pretty proud of on how I was able to kind of still find a use for these for the new dragon build. And then you see this cute little stream kind of whisking past the entire dragon. It goes under some trees, under some rocks, and eventually flows out to the end of the tail. Its energy also explodes out at the wings, where it goes completely translucent blue. Overall, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It was looking a little messy in the middle because rock work does tend to be messy if you don't color block it right, but I think in the end we were able to manage to get this whole thing right. But now it's time for story time to give these guys a full story behind it and send it over to Sakuga Builds to get a final rating out of 10 to see how I did. The story goes that before time could even have a name, there was nothing. And then there was something. This was Essence. It was just a glowing blue little dot going across the vast nothingness. Eventually, this essence grew into a shape, which eventually evolved into the very first dragon. Essence wandered around, but soon Essence realized that it didn't want to be alone anymore, so Essence split up into the 3 very first sources: Creation, Balance, and Destruction. These guys started out as great friends, Balance and Creation just didn't understand destruction a lot. So eventually Creation and Balance go on to create the 7 Source Dragons, which creates the dragon species, people, elemental powers as we know it. It's pretty great. And now Creation and Balance have become so intertwined that we can't really tell the difference between the sources that came from Creation and the sources that came from Balance. It's almost all the same. Meanwhile, Destruction had also split up into beings like the Oni and the Overlord eventually. However, his descendants weren't as lovely and kind as he used to be. His descendants kind of lost the meaning of what destruction was really about, and the goal became very skewed. They became truly evil, like the Oni. Destruction's original goal of just keeping the balance and feeling lonely evolved into something a lot worse as the message got lost in translation, which is why we see so much evil in Ninjago these days. Still keeping the balance, but you can clearly tell there's something wrong with the Oni and all the evil in Ninjago. There's something missing in their logic. And the answer to that went away when Destruction split up into multiple parts.
An Oni. Building instead of destroying. What next? What next indeed?
Now, coming over to present time, it's been so long since anybody has even uttered the name Essence the Dragon. Yet, if you pay close enough, there are some runes and statues that pay tribute to this original dragon from a very, very old time. Now it's time to send this over to Sakuga Builds to see what rating I get out of 10.
Methuselah and Daniel were here from Sakuga Builds. Four Corners just sent us a very special message and we're going to react to it right now. OMG, is that the Dragonstone Shrine as a actual dragon, Daniel Lewa?
Well, that's actually a fire concept, and it's honestly better than the shrine itself.
And then we also have some minifigures too, like this brown sugar looking Lloyd.
I love the Oni one with like the root-shaped tears and stuff, but I don't know, that lime green, gold, transparent orange combo is just a little too Nexo Knights for me, and I just don't jive with it.
Come on, Daniel Lewa, we're supposed to rate this out of 4. If we're getting all these deluxe minifigures within this dragon set, I would give it a 4 out of 4.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I would have to go 3.75 out of 4 because that color scheme just does not work. Otherwise, fire set.
Come on, Daniel Lewa, look at the rocks jutting out of the elbows of the dragon, bro. It's like Rocky. He did such a good job customizing this. Actually made the mock in person. I'm changing to a 10 out of 4.
I gotta stay impartial, man. Love you, Four Corners.
Anyone else feeling all tingly inside?
So anyways, I do want to thank Sakuga Builds for reviewing the dragon. Thank you for watching this video where I built the Essence, the Source Dragon. This was a super fun video to make. Thank you to Colito Productions as well for helping me with the figures. And as usual, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.